Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Right.
Goodness. Well, hello. You know that it's Wednesday. You see our smiling faces. You know that it's Wednesday and it's 3 p.m. We're just so happy that you've joined us here on Ask Elaine. If you don't mind, please share and let those who might have forgotten, like I tend to do these days, um, remind somebody that Ask Elaine is on and remind them that your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, is here. And we have lots and lots of wonderful information. I just want to thank all of our sponsors. Want to thank all of you who tune in each week, and we thank those who share comments and let us know that they benefited from the program that we and the information that we shared that particular week. And we're just so flattered that so many other people are choosing to kind of pattern their shows after ours a little bit. I'm not saying they're doing it because we're doing it, but I'm just saying they kind of looking similar. We got a lot of public information that's coming out, lots of good topics. Overseer Randall had on a topic yesterday, and I was in place and I was able to tune in to join in. She was talking about autism, a disability that many children have, many people have, and just wonderful information. Reverend Cubitt was on with her yesterday. So I want to applaud them for whatever direction they've decided to go into. It's more public information, more things that are going to help our community. We are so uninformed on so many important things. And today we're going to talk about one of those things, and that is guns. Now, over the years, we have beaten this drum about no guns. We don't want to deal with guns, and we don't, because I think so many of our young people, especially, have chosen to use guns on each other, and we are burying our young at just record rates. They're sending them off to jail. Then we're killing each other and they're being buried, and our families are having to deal with all of these things. And so that's the reason why over the years I have been opposed to increased gun use, gun purchases, all of that. I'm still in favor of people having to undergo a background check, and our special guest today is going to talk about that. But we thought this was just such a wonderful topic that we needed to talk about, because mama, daddy, grandma, Uncle Buck, all the rest of them. They've had guns all these years. And, you as children, you rambling around, where you shouldn't be, looking for whatever you can find. And then you end up uncovering the gun. And we've had some really, really tragic situations to happen. And so all of these things came together for us. And then I received some information from our special guest today. It was none other than Madonna Baker. And you're just going to be thrilled. For those of you who don't know her, you're going to be thrilled at what you find out about her. And she's going to be your newest, bestest friend, and she's going to share some information about her background, also what she's doing now. And it's going to help us to make some decisions. Uh, as you know, the governor of the state of Georgia, the legislature passed, and the governor, I don't know whether I think he has signed the bill which allowed a whole lot of folks to carry a gun, to purchase a gun without things that we think make sense, background checks, all of that. So there's some information that we need to share with you on looking at this whole thing of gun ownership in a different light. If you're going to have a gun, you need to know what to do with it. You need to know how to handle it. You need to know how to keep it away from our babies that are hurting each other. They don't know. And a lot of teenagers are getting these guns that they're using on their used to be friends. A lot of them are getting them from grandma's house, uncle's house, somewhere. And so, what we want to do is to start a conversation about gun ownership, responsible gun ownership. I'm going to tell you, I do plan to start very soon taking gun safety classes. My husband has talked with me about it for a long time. We have always had guns at our house because my husband's an avid hunter, and he has protection, has it for his own protection. Um, but we've started thinking about this in other terms. Now, it's not just if you have guns, it's a whole new discussion that we need to have because it doesn't look like guns are going anywhere. We've had them in our homes forever. Other races of people have had them in their homes forever. And many of them now are getting guns for some reasons that are not positive reasons. And so just about anybody and everybody can have a gun now. That is a problem, and one that our special guest is going to help us to look at from a different angle. Before I introduce her again to you, I would like to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Senator David E. Lucas, who is running for reelection to District 26 in the Georgia State Senate. We also want to thank former Mayor C. Jack Ellis, who is a supporter and sponsor of this show. We want to thank Black Voters Matter, which is an organization. It's nonpartisan. Now, we're partisan. I tell you who I'm supporting, whatever. Black Voters Matter supports the dissemination of information that we do on this program, but they are nonpartisan. And so that means they don't support any particular candidate. They just tell you the truth. And so we're happy to have their support. We want to thank Sheriff David Davis, who has supported us over the years and who is still supporting the efforts to get information out. I want to thank my sister, Beverly Huckabee, who has Glory Baking Company, and she's going to be on in the next few weeks, and she's going to talk about her business and some other things that she's into. So we want to thank all of those folks. Now, we want to also express our sympathy to those families who have lost loved ones for whatever the reason. And we want to express our sympathy to you. We are praying for you. Um, we have lost some more of our young people in this community, and we are losing people to suicide as well, which highlights the fact that the mental health activities that are going on this in this community, we really need to enhance those, and the making violence prevention activities are spotlighting mental health activities, and so a lot of times people get offended when someone thinks that they may need some mental health services. But it's more offensive for you to walk around hurting other folks or hurting yourself with mental illness, dealing with it when there are opportunities for you to deal with. It is a medical situation. It's not just a cray cray situation. It's not that somebody's crazy. And we often think with mental health, oh, I don't want folks to think I'm crazy. Well, I mean, it's a health issue that we've got to learn to deal with. And we get so far behind on all kinds of illnesses and things. And there are remedies, there are solutions, there are things that we can do. And we don't want folks to think this, that, and the other. Could care less what folks think. If I need some mental health, and there have been some times in my past when I had a boss and I had to go talk to somebody, or I was going to do something to that that boss of mine. And so fortunately I was able to deal with it, get a few weeks off of work, rest up, deal with some coping skills, because I could just feel my hands around this particular principal's throat. I really could. And it was somebody who was just pushing me, pushing me, pushing me. She was my supervisor, but she was doing stuff to embarrass me, to try and undermine the work that I was doing. And so that kind of pressure makes you get to a point where you need some help with it. And so I got that help and then returned to work. And I didn't have that tendency to try and, for my hands to kind of go toward her throat. Yes. So that's a mental health issue. That's a mental health issue. That's one that I dealt with, and I didn't end up in jail. So I'm telling you, there are things that happen with you that you need some help with. If you don't have a good friend to talk to or to work through, if you don't have a family member to talk to work through it, a faith leader to talk with and work through it, you need some trained folks who will deal with the beginning of your situation, how it's grown, and to give you some coping skills. And that's one of the things with this violence prevention that we need to be dealing with, rather than grabbing that gun as the first line, the first thing we think of. We need to be thinking about some other kinds of strategies that we can use to kind of work to ameliorate whatever is going on with us, to soften what's going on with us. And so we want to thank those folks who have joined us. Maria Bryant says, never be afraid to ask for help. Pastor Lisa is on, and she's given an amen to that. All those folks who have joined, Desmond Brown, who's a candidate for the chair of the water board, I see, has joined us. And so we want to thank all of you who have joined us on AM, FM, those who have joined us on Facebook Live, Instagram, all the other media. And I guess you want to say why don't she just hush and introduce her guest and let us hear what the guest has to say? But I felt like I needed to say that other, because a lot of times people won't tell you. You got a problem, you need to get some help before you impact somebody else, because mental illness takes control just like any other illness takes control of a person, and they're not able to handle all that's going on with them. So they do need help. Maria Bryant encourages us to join the Make and Bib in the NAACP Freedom Fighters, and she has the membership there. Don't call me asking me for the number for the NAACP if you are not a member. I'm not going to give you the number, and you can say whatever you want to say. No, I'll give you the number, but you need to be a member of the NAACP so that they are strong enough to be able to handle your situation. So, and Pastor Lisa says mental illness is a real serious health issue. And it is. Let's stop going around talking about they're crazy. They're crazy. If they're crazy, there may be a solution. It is a health issue. It is a health issue, y'all. And so we got to get past that. We don't want folks to know we've got this going on. We don't want folks to know our business. We don't want, well, they're going to know it when you do something you have no business doing. So get you some help. And if you need some help and you want to go to someone, check into the Southern Center for Choice, Macon Violence Prevention through Macon Bibb County, or through any other mental health counselor in Macon Bibb County. Your doctor can refer you for mental health, but don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed to let somebody know. And if they talk, they just talk, but you're getting well. Now, to our special guest, who is none other than Ms. Madonna Baker, who is a former Macon police officer. And I'm going to let her tell you about herself, her background, and then tell you what she's doing now. And then we're going to talk about this gun safety class that I'm going to take, and my sister Nita Huckabee is going to take. My niece, Rachel Poole, already takes gun safety classes, and she goes down in Crestville Heights, where we used to live, where we grew up, way down outskirts of Bellevue, and she practices her shooting. So, Madonna Baker,
Yes,
welcome.
thank you. Um, Everything you said is definitely relevant and on point. I want to talk about mental health as it relates to it. Anger is an emotion, and we all get angry.
Mm-hmm.
It's biblical. God gives us permission to be angry. He says, "Be ye angry, but don't sin."
Yeah.
And that even goes in lines with the law. We can be angry, but it's the choice that we make after that
Right.
that could get us in trouble
Right.
or not. We handle it more
Right.
responsibly. Thank you again for having me today. And gun talks can be very emotional altogether, because we do have lots of victimization in our community. We have it's a sore subject, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But I am very much a proponent of the Second Amendment rights for all people.
Right.
I'm very much a proponent of us owning.
And we all have that right.
Yes.
Just because some other folks talk about it all the time, they
Mhm.
yell Second Amendment, Second Amendment. Don't take away my Second Amendment. We have it too, y'all.
Yes.
Anything anybody else has, we have those same rights.
Right.
We just don't act like we have those rights. I'm sorry.
No,
Go
you're
ahead.
fine. You're fine. But that is definitely relevant, because we fight for equality in areas of the law of rights. This is definitely one of our rights
Mhm.
that we can exercise. The word that I like to add, though, is responsibly.
Right.
It is vitally important that we are responsible and safe with firearms. A little bit about me, as you said, I'm a Navy veteran,
Mhm.
and a former Macon police officer. I was in law enforcement for 18 years. Never really got into guns or anything at that time. I was just trying to figure out what the world I was doing and go home safely every day.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it wasn't until maybe about 2.5 years ago that I developed just a different kind of respect and love for the I call it the gun life, so to speak, because it's not something that you just do as a haphazardly. It's something
Mhm.
that you really adopt into your lifestyle if you want to be a responsible gun owner.
Mhm.
Um, I do what I do as a firearms instructor because what we knowledge is our real superpower. Far be it whatever we may think, if we don't have a knowledge of how to do something, anything, then we're going to do it
That's right.
wrong.
Do it
It
wrong.
starts with the baseline, the foundation starts with knowledge. I focus on the fundamentals because that's how you build up to the intermediate and advanced levels. But I like to focus on the fundamentals. I like when um, people such as you come in that had a certain notion about guns. And it's a lot of it is media driven because all they talk about is what's done wrong with guns. All they talk about is who killed whom with the
Right.
gun, who did what with the gun. They held up the bank with the gun.
Yeah.
So when we think about them in totality, the information that we get about them is negative.
Mhm.
It's very seldom that you hear about what someone did well with the gun, such as self defense. Oftentimes, citizens stop crimes before police get there
Mhm.
with their guns. Be it that they had to shoot the person, hold them there, or whatever the case may be, citizens, legally armed citizens, are really the front line if we think about it. There are only so many police officers, there's
Mhm.
only so many sheriffs in
Right.
town, but there are so many legally armed citizens that may have to be the one to save you or I if there was a situation to take place
Mhm.
and the police aren't there.
Right.
So we have to think about firearms in a broad scale and think about what's right with them. So for instance, if the there's generally a big push for gun laws, but the criminals aren't going to adhere to the gun laws. That's what we
Right.
have to
Right.
understand.
Right.
The laws are for law abiding citizens.
Mhm.
Criminals are not law abiding citizens. So it doesn't matter what laws are passed. This is what we've got to understand. The restrictions are going to restrict law abiding citizens and not
Yeah.
criminals.
Yeah.
So we need to be as free with our firearms as the criminals are. And I know
Mhm.
that sounds really weird, but
Mhm.
we think about it again, and we adhere to gun restricting laws, it's only affecting the ones that are going to follow them, not the
Right.
ones that are not.
That's right. That's right.
So, I wanted to go back to the purchase of a firearm still requires the background check. It still requires the purchase. Now, the carry is different, but the purchase, nothing has changed about the legal requirements for a purchase. That still has to happen. People that have convicted felons still can't purchase a firearm legally. The people with the domestic violence charges still can't purchase a firearm legally. People with
Mhm.
mental health histories and hospitalization and things like that can't purchase legally. Now, the carry again is still centered around legally carrying
Mhm.
citizens.
Mhm.
It's still for those of us that have gone through the background checks to purchase legally. It's just taking out the step for the counties to say, hey, come do this, and then we'll give you a license to carry. Basically, what the law has gone to is the constitutional carry. The Constitution, again, in the Second Amendment, gives us the right to bear arms. So it's just falling back on that and taking out that step through the different counties to say, hey,
Mhm.
can I carry a firearm when the Constitution
Mhm.
already gives
Mhm.
us the right to do
Yeah.
so? So
Yeah.
it's just taking out that one step, not changing what's required to purchase one. So we
Mhm.
need to be clear about that. That has not changed.
Okay, we've got a phone call. Caller, welcome to Ask Elaine. Hello, caller. Oh, they hung up. Okay.
Okay. Um, and the guns are again the one thing that I hear us often talk about. Oh, people are using guns, we got to restrict it. When people use hammers to hurt people, we don't try to restrict those.
Mhm.
When they use cars to
Mhm.
run over people, we don't try to restrict those. When DUI drive, we don't try to restrict cars. So we've got to not focus on the actual tool more so than the person or persons, we got to look at what their issues are. The gun is not the problem. If I put a loaded gun on this table between you and I, if no hand ever touches it, it will remain a loaded gun on the table forever and ever and ever, never harming anyone. If one of us chooses to pick it up and go commit a crime with it, it still wasn't the gun's fault. It's
Mhm.
the person that made that decision to go do whatever they chose to do with it. It still falls back on them. So guns, we have to stop looking at the object and look again at the person or the people that are choosing to do something that is not desirable with
Mhm.
them.
Mhm.
When we have the anger, that's an emotion. Again, we have to get out of the habit of making a permanent decision on a temporary emotion.
Mhm.
When we're angry, like you were saying, I could see my hands around this lady's neck. And as you know, had you taken those steps and literally put them there, you'd be in a
Yeah,
lifetime of
yeah.
trouble.
Let's see if
Okay.
our caller is back. I believe. Caller, welcome to Elaine. Are they just gonna play games with us today and just call and hang up and call and hang up? Don't play games. We here. This is a valuable topic, an important topic that we're talking about. So anyway, don't call back unless you're gonna talk with us. Okay. Okay. All right.
But yes, ma'am, it starts with being in control of our individual selves. We have to be in control of our emotions. We have to understand that if we make that decision on this temporary emotion, because if we're mad, we won't always be mad.
Mm-hmm.
If we hurt someone, we'll always be a murderer. If we kill someone with a fire, we'll always be a murderer. So we have to not take on a permanent label for a temporary emotion.
Mm-hmm.
What we lack as well is conflict resolution.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Right.
we have gotten away from talking. Everything is so electronic. We text, we email, we yeah, just send me this, put it in writing, send it to me this way.
Yeah.
That so we have even lost the ability to communicate with one another. And that vastly impacts how we handle our emotions, because if I can't
Right.
express myself to you, if I can't say, you know what, Ms. Lucas, you upset me when you did such and such, or when you said such and such.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been the farthest. Your intent could have not been to upset me or to
Right.
harm me with what
But
you
we don't
said.
talk
But if
about
we
it.
don't talk about it,
We
I'm going to
go
be angry with you. I'm going
right.
to be upset with you. You're now my enemy. And the very
Exactly.
next thing you do
Mm-hmm.
could be the thing that just sends me over. And now I've done something to harm you, and you
Okay.
never had the intent to harm me.
Right. Is that coroner on?
Elaine,
Is Coroner Jones on? Hey, how are you?
oh, I'm making. I have a question on this constitutional carry. I
Okay.
want you to explain it to me in layman terms, okay? Because it's some kind of it's some kind of confusion. Anybody at 21 can have a gun legally. Is it safe to say that?
Not anyone.
Madonna,
No, not
okay,
anyone.
why not? All right, why?
What was your question? I'm sorry?
Anybody 21 can have a firearm.
Not a convicted
Right?
felon, not someone that has a
Okay,
domestic violence conviction,
okay.
not a person
All
that
right,
has
stop right there a minute.
there are certain
Stop right there a
legal
minute.
reasons that prevent it, so not anyone.
Okay, stop right there a minute. First of all, criminals don't care about gun law no way. We got that out the way.
Yeah.
Okay? And a convicted felon, obviously he's a criminal. He don't care about a gun law. So we got that part out the way. This is my question. If a 21-year-old law-abiding citizen can have a gun, correct? 21 years old, right?
Correct.
All right. So if you got four 21-year-old males standing on a corner packing, and the sheriff's department is sending a unit to look at four males, and all of them 21, why are you sending a unit out there if they can legally have a gun? If four guys, wait a minute, let me finish.
Go ahead.
If four guys is standing on the corner, they're not felons, okay, they're not domestic violence, they have no mental illness. Of course, you wouldn't know that no way, because that's a HIPAA violation. But if you got four people standing on the corner with a shoulder holster, and all three of them are 21 years old, why are they going out there anyway? That's my question.
Well, it looks like the laws are changing so that that shouldn't happen as much unless there's some crime that's being committed.
Right. So that's
Uh-huh.
going to have to be training have,
Yeah.
to advise a citizen when they call in to say, hey, there's four guys standing on the corner with a gun. They're going to have to dig deeper. Well, what are they doing? Are they just standing there? Are they committing any crimes?
They're
That's
just
not
they just standing on the corner.
right. That's not a crime.
Yeah. It looks
Well,
bad to us, but we all have got to start thinking in terms of the fact that we all
say again,
have,
Commissioner, I lost you.
sir.
Commissioner, I lost you. Say again, you faded out.
I'm saying we've all got to be retrained in our thinking about, especially in light of these new gun laws. We all have the Second Amendment right to bear arms. I think some people have interpreted it as only certain folks have the right. But there's a responsibility that goes with it, and that's what we're getting to, Carla. We're looking at what is your responsibility. You have that right. There's no point now in continuing to fight that battle over whether folks can have guns or not. They have them, they're out there. It's, to me, it seems like it's just a hopeless situation to go after it that way. So what we've got to do is protect people by giving them the information and the training they need so that they make responsible decisions. And that's where we are.
And again, with the law
Well,
enforcement, it's just going to really call for them to develop a new tolerance. As a law enforcement officer, when we got called about somebody with a gun, it was okay. We need to figure out why they have a gun. We see them when we hear them.
But see, I
As
can't, let me tell you this right here.
well, now what we have to accept is that's why
Madonna.
Yes.
Madonna,
Yes.
in this day and time, everybody needs a gun and gun training. Let me be clear when I say that. Everybody needs a gun and gun training. If there's no need to buy a high-priced gun, don't know how to use it.
100%.
Yeah, you just hurt somebody or hurt yourself.
Now, let me tell you this right here. Let me tell you this right there. Let me tell you right here. I was in the middle of that robbery last Friday, Good Friday, at Family Dollar on Eisenhower Parkway in Pinona. I am still shaking, and I'm getting ready to go to a counselor, a psychiatrist, because I haven't had any sleep at all since last Friday. I was in the cashier line when this boy ran in, hollered, give me the money, both draws. I had my mask off, and he looked at me. He knew who I was. And he had a gun to the cashier's head at Family Dollar at 3:45 in the afternoon. And the first thing she said, how can you the shooter? How could I shoot someone and you got three cashiers between me and him?
Yeah.
Right.
Carelessness. That wouldn't make no sense.
Right.
You can't just pull a gun and act like you're in Wild Wild West.
Right.
It was three people between me and him. Okay, three people, three cashiers. And that boy looked at me. He knew who I was, Commissioner. Madonna, he knew who I was.
Yeah.
I'm at the cashier. Or I'm at the third cash register. We had no cashier there. I'm waiting to be served. Okay? At 3:45 in the afternoon. That don't make no sense.
Right.
So then they got the crystal that Sunday. It don't make no sense.
Well,
No.
I'm great.
Everybody needs a gun and gun training.
I'm grateful
ma'am.
that you have the wherewithal to know that number one, you can't outdraw a wrong gun person. If a gunman already has, you can't outdraw that. Number two, you assess that it was not safe if you were carrying to take a shot at this person because there were other innocents that you would have been responsible for harming.
Exactly. Right there in the crossfire.
Right.
I haven't slept not one whole night.
By being the best witness that could have been for that situation. And
I
haven't
think
slept not one whole night.
we're all that's being said because we're getting kind of reverb and some uh, voices are low or high, if our engineer can kind of help me. I don't know what I'm doing here with this equipment, Mr. Engineer. But I hope that everybody can hear. This is just such important information. We have on the phone Leon Jones, our coroner, who deals with the aftermath of gun use all
Every
the
single
time.
week, all day long, stress every day. I work in stress. I chose that career. When you standing there when someone got a gun or somebody's head, hollering, "Give me the money, give me the money," open the drawer, I ain't playing. I've been a nervous wreck ever since last Friday. I haven't had a good night's sleep since last Friday.
Right, right.
And you do need mental health counseling. You need help with that. That is not your normal situation.
Yes. I know that you and I have talked before about you taking the training. Well, what you did for you was common sense. There was nothing you
Well,
in
baby.
that situation, and I'm glad you took a chance on me. So common sense is in, and that's amazing because it's not common for some people. Heroes are literally in the ground, and we were honoring them, at some kind of ceremony. So I'm glad you're here, and that you do what you could do again and be the best witness that you can be. But understanding that you could not outdraw that grown gunman, and that there was really nothing you could do but if you
It was
looked at
nothing I could. It was
that
nothing I could do,
and
Madonna.
whatever you could identify and say about that situation to the police to
It was
help
nothing.
capture that
It was
person,
nothing.
that was all you could do. So, and those are things that we have to understand about being gun owners. That doesn't mean we can stop everything. That doesn't mean we can get involved in everything. Again, I'm not going to be the hero to save the day. Number one, I got two things going on. If I have a family with me, I'm not getting in if it's not safe for me to do so. I'm not getting
No,
involved.
no,
So that comes with the training and understanding
Commissioner.
of what your limits are,
Madonna.
even though you may be armed and
Madonna.
concealed. And that's why, with the Constitution to carry and everyone having the ability to carry, I'm still a proponent of concealed carry. That is a totally different, it's a totally different dynamic than having open carry. Open carry, in my opinion, and is strictly mine, can create a crime of opportunity to make you a target. Had you been openly carrying a firearm at the time, Leon, and that person came in, what do you think they were going to do first, possibly?
Shoot me. I will be the first one been shot.
There you go. So with concealed carry,
Madonna.
no one has, well, no one knows you have it.
Madonna.
Yes.
I will be the first one shot. Can you hear me?
Yes. I agree with you.
Madonna, 2 weeks ago, Commissioner,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, we had our Stop the Killing rally in front of Appleton Middle School. A guy pulls up with a shoulder holster, gets out of his car, runs up to Bobby Fickley, shakes his finger in his hand, face, curses him out, saying blah, 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 that our blank, blank program ain't doing no blank, blank good. He's packing a shoulder holster. I called the sheriff's department. It took them less than 3 minutes to get there. He's packing a shoulder holster. I haven't got a clue where this guy came from. All I know, he's attacking us verbally and saying what he's going to do. Now, he's got a shoulder holster, packing. All we doing is having a campaign. Stop the Killing campaign, Madonna. That's all. We're not bothering nobody. We at the Appleton Middle School on Sunday afternoon. Now, imagine what would have happened if my son Chandler would have been there. It would have been fireworks.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. I say this, I get off of the air. Let me be clear when I say this. Everybody needs a gun and gun training. Everybody out there that listen to Ask Elaine every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, hear me. You're getting it from Leon Jones, coroner of Macon, Bibb County. Get you a gun and get you an instructor. Have a blessed day.
Thank you so much, Leon. He's got a job that I tell you, But his advice is stop fighting the fact of guns being out here because they're out there. They're going to be out there. But you have to learn the use of the gun. You got to learn not to be intimidated by handling it. you got to get you some training, and that's what I'm going to do. Um, because I was just so disappointed that the state of Georgia passed the law that I think was the wrong way to go, but I can't change it. So
And that's what we are in. Can you hear me okay?
I hope that everybody can hear. Everybody, we're getting messages that people are not understanding what we're saying. Um, but we've got a wonderful engineer who who helps to keep us straight, and he probably needs to come and check and make sure we've got these settings right, because I do want everybody to hear what Madonna Baker is saying. I hope that they heard what the coroner was saying. um, the engineer wants you to say something. Let's see if everything's straight.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 3 4.
Okay, our engineer is coming to rescue us. This is such an important it's such an important topic. You see our engineer, he's doing a cameo here. Okay.
1 2. Can you hear me? Mic check 1 2.
Okay, I'm sure I messed up something, y'all. But we've got our trusty engineer, and he's going to get us straight. This is, like as I said before, this is such an important topic. Pastor Lisa said that she heard the coroner fine,
Mm-hmm.
and now that the caller is off, that they're hearing everything clearly now.
Okay.
Um, Overseer Mabel Randall is saying
1 2. Can you hear me? Mic check.
she's saying that they had a couple of guns and lost them during a break-in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how a lot of these guns are getting out there. People are breaking in.
Mm-hmm.
You leave your car unlocked,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody goes in there and they take your firearm. They
Mm-hmm.
sell it for $2 or $3, or you got some kids
Mm-hmm.
and they're just big folks now. They got a gun,
Right.
and they don't understand the danger.
Right.
They don't
Right.
understand the danger. That's why we've got to support training,
Right.
safety education. Not only, there are some people, y'all, who have their little bitty babies,
Mm-hmm.
little bitty ones, taking out there in the woods shooting, or at a firearms facility.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there are how many training facilities are there in Macon?
There we have the one indoor range that is public at the Eagle Gun Range in Macon, and then there are some private facilities where you have to be a member. There are some outdoor ones where you have to be a member. So I don't know of any of the outdoor ones that are public. What I hope that we can someday do is maybe have our sheriff's office to allow maybe some range days for the public to be able to come out to do some practicing and maybe take some lessons and things like that, because it's a community issue. So I don't know again what manpower it would take to do that. If they're, as an instructor, again, I'm generally every Saturday, or if someone needs one through the week, I know they do offer them at Eagle, but HAMP has even allowed me to go in as a private instructor to teach out of that classroom. I think that's big, because it's about the training. At some point we have to get past the competition and the it's I'm gonna do all this and that and the other. We have to get about the bigger business of it and make sure that, I've said on another show, whomever you seek for training, go there. Do I want you to train with me? Absolutely. But whomever you seek, go there for the training, because it's not just about me and my business. I want to be as safe with someone else that's been trained by a qualified firearms instructor, no matter who they got that training from, because it's the bigger picture is about the training and the proper and responsible handling with these firearms. My heart goes out to Leon.
Oh
You
yeah.
could
Oh
hear,
yeah.
and he and I, this is a conversation he and I have had before about the push for training, because we've got to change the narrative that guns are dangerous. Guns are not dangerous. There are some dangerous people that
Right.
handle
That
guns.
use.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. So we've got to change the narrative for the responsible gun owners and the safe gun owners, that we are getting this training. We're not just out here buying guns. There's a bit more to it than just the point and press like a spray bottle.
Yeah.
There's a little more to it, that we need to be very confident that we know how to handle ourselves. If we're going to carry concealed, the first time we draw cannot be when we are in a situation and need to use our
Yeah.
firearm for
Yeah.
protection. We have to practice these things. It's like any other skill set that we have to practice in order to be able to effectively utilize this tool for the defense of ourselves or another human life. Again, understanding the laws. I have an attorney on my staff that teaches the laws, because that's the other thing that gets us in trouble: ignorance of the law. We don't know that we can't defend our property in Georgia. I have asked several people in class, hey, if you're at home, you hear somebody breaking in your car, you have your firearm, what are you going to do? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to
Yeah.
shoot them. And
That's
I tell
what.
them, and you're going to jail,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
cannot defend property in the state of Georgia. I don't care what that property is. It is against the law to use deadly force for property in Georgia.
What do you do?
You call the police. You keep yourself safe. You are, because OCGA, the official code of Georgia, annotated 16-3-21 only allows for us to use the equal amount of force. Number one, we have to be in imminent danger, meaning it's happening right now, meaning nobody can punch you, beat you up, and run away, and then you go get a firearm and call yourself defending yourself. That's not defense
And we have a
anymore.
lot of that
Yes,
going on.
ma'am.
A
That's
lot
not
of it.
defense anymore. If it's happening right now, if you have a bat and you're coming toward me, I've said, stay back, stay back, stay back, and you get within striking distance, and I decide to protect myself, that's different than someone standing 20 feet away from me with the bat saying, I'm going to hit you. I'm not in imminent danger at 20 feet away with a bat. But when you get within a certain range, now I'm in imminent danger, meaning you have the ability.
That is why that training, that safety education is so important. And if you have a firearm, it is your right to have it. Nobody wants to take away
Right.
your firearm. Nobody wants to do that. But people are just so upset that so many people are getting killed and are injured, and babies are. So what we want to do is to offer to you the suggestion that maybe you need to, if you're going to have your gun and it's your right to have it, then you should get you some training.
Right.
Get you some training. And I'm going to suggest this as to Making Violence Prevention, the mayor's initiative as far as violence prevention, that maybe we need to go in a different direction. And like you say, it's not the guns that are shooting folks. It's the people who are using them.
Right.
And we've got to work on those folks and what they do, what their thinking is in dealing with
Because Ms.
other
Lucas, if
folks.
we empower our legally armed citizens more so, it's going to cause criminals to think twice, because you are not going to know who you're in the presence of that might neutralize you.
Right.
That's why we have to push the narrative a little bit differently with guns and empower citizens that are legally armed and responsibly armed, and that have gotten the proper training, that know how to utilize a firearm for self-defense of a human life. We need to empower them and not keep putting all the talk and the narrative on what the criminals are doing. Once we're empowered, and again, they never know who may be in a position to stop you from hurting someone else, that's going to flip that thing.
That's why I say, y'all, bullies who go and pick on the little bitty somebody, that could be the person that knows taekwondo and will whoop You know
Yes.
what? Real
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Send you packing. That to me is a deterrent. And so what we're suggesting to the public is, to strengthen your
Mhm.
protection.
Mhm.
It's your right to have protection, to have a gun. Um, but it's also your responsibility to
Mhm.
to handle, to know everything that you need to know about it, and to be able
Mhm.
to prepare yourself
Yes,
for
ma'am.
ownership. That's just like anything else that you
A car.
value.
If you
Your
own a car, you get the
exactly.
driving. You learn how to drive. You get a
Mhm.
license and you drive.
Mhm.
It's just the same. It's the same responsibility, like you said, with the rights that we have, or with whatever privileges we have. We have a responsibility to make sure we can utilize anything that we use properly and safely.
Right.
Safety is the utmost responsible. That is the, I cannot harp enough on safety when handling firearms. Even so, before you learn properly, I will call it an accident. We have
Mhm.
accidental discharges. Once you
Mhm.
know better, it's negligence. We have to own that. We have to be
Right.
responsible for what we have
Right.
done negligently to cause someone to be harmed or
Mhm.
killed with the firearm.
Mhm.
Putting them down irresponsibly where children can get a hold of them and do something that was not intended to be done. Yes, it was accidental for the child, but it was negligence on the part of that owner or that carrier or handler that put it there. So we have to even think about that. When we have children, we can't just tell children, don't touch that gun, and their curiosity goes
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
That's why I named my company Beyond Taboo. We can't make things taboo and just think the curiosity goes away.
Mhm.
Age appropriately, we even have to educate our children on firearms and the safety of them, because if they're in our homes, you don't think they're going to be curious?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Whereas
they
once,
find it hidden
yes, they've
away,
seen where
tucked
we tuck
away
them away.
somewhere.
They've seen where
Yeah,
we put
they
them.
saw
They
when
know.
we did it.
Thank you. And we might
Mhm.
not even know they know,
Yeah.
but they know. So age appropriately, I have a 5-year-old grandbaby who knows this is Nana's gun and I don't touch it because it's not one of my toys. She
Mhm.
knows that much. Now,
Mhm.
when she's older, we're going to have a more responsible talk. And as she gets older, she's going to get proper training, and she's going to be on the range as well to know how to protect herself if she
Right.
should need to do it. My 15-year-old son has been trained. He knows how to shoot. He's accurate. And with that, what we talk about is, just because you have a gun, again, does not mean that you are to interact in every situation with it. The first thing I teach is avoidance. You
Mhm.
want to avoid any
Mhm.
situation
Mhm.
that could be dangerous for you. Anywhere that is a dangerous place, if it doesn't feel right, don't go there.
Right.
Avoid
Right.
situations. If someone's upset with you and you see them in a place and you know they've told you, if I see you on site, it's going to be this, you see them, you walk away.
But you're a punk.
Right.
You're
I'll be
this,
that.
you're
I'll be a
that.
living
I
one.
will
No,
be
I'll be a
too.
living one,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then escape. Let's just say you're in a place and something breaks out. We have this tendency to want to stand there and video, honey.
Oh
I'm
yeah, we
getting out
want
of
to
there.
watch. We want
We
to
want to escape that
uh-huh.
situation
Mhm.
and then defend if there is no other choice. If there is no other choice, then you defend yourself. So this AED, that avoid, escape, defend, can save your life like that
Mhm.
other one that
That's
we're
what
talking
we
about.
have got to
Mm-hmm.
train. That's what making violence prevention and all of these
Mm-hmm.
other entities that are promising results in decreases in
Mm-hmm.
violence. That's what we have got to put into the training for,
Yes.
especially our children,
Mm-hmm.
how to avoid some
Yes.
things,
Yes.
how you can talk your way, like we rap, like our children rap
Mm-hmm.
and learn all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They can learn how to avoid
Right.
that danger,
Right.
how to talk their way out of stuff,
Right.
how to that old thing we used to use, my mama kill me if I do that, and I use that a lot in my generation.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we use
Right.
to get out of stuff.
Yes.
Now I don't think it's used nearly as much. Folks tell their kids, if you come home, with a whipping, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
whip you
Right.
again.
Right.
So where does that leave
Right.
the children? They're gonna,
Right.
They don't want that second whipping when they
That's
get
right.
home. So we've got to adopt different ways of doing things if we're going to have our kids to survive.
And what
It's
is
just
de-escalation? We have to talk
uh-huh.
about that being, something, Bob Ficklin did tell me about that situation when he was approached by the gentleman and all the what was going on. And he used his words.
Mhm.
He de-escalated. He did not
Mhm.
have to, puff up his chest and prove I'm a man too. He didn't have to
Mhm.
do that. And
Mhm.
he's alive today.
Mhm.
Because had that escalated, we don't know where that could have,
Yeah.
well, we know where it
Yeah.
would have gone,
Yeah.
but he's here. Hopefully the gentleman is getting whatever help he needs. And, that's what we've got to learn to do, de-escalate, because I don't have to be the hero. Again, they're dead and they're getting honored. I want to be
A
here
lot
to
of
talk
that, though,
about that.
Madonna, comes with age, and you
Hmm.
learn that every situation is not a national disaster,
Right.
a national emergency. You
Right.
learn that a lot of times through
Hmm.
experience and age and stuff.
Hmm.
But our children, we've got to start with these church
Hmm.
groups. When we're doing the biblical stuff, that's
Hmm.
all wonderful.
Hmm.
But kids have to go out and survive out beyond the
Well,
walls.
we have to
So,
make it apply to real life. The biblical
exactly.
principles are amazing, but how do I apply that to my life? What is it that I can learn from? Again, be angry but don't sin. That's
Hmm.
applicable.
Hmm.
You have the right to be angry if it's an emotion, is
Yeah.
human. Be
Yeah.
angry, but we got
I
to push
tell you,
that, but
my
don't sin.
hands were going up around that neck. I came so
Right.
close, and
Right.
I would have lost my teaching
Everything.
job,
And that's what
my
we have to think
counseling
about.
job.
That's what we have
I
to
was a
think about. What
counselor,
is
y'all.
it? What is it that I have to lose if
Yeah,
I make a
yeah.
permanent decision on a temporary emotion? What do I have to lose?
Hmm.
Number one, the value of life has to come back. I don't know why it seems like there's a devaluation of life nowadays among our
Right,
younger
right,
generation, like, and
right.
it's not all, it's a
And we've
generalization, but no,
never loved each other like we
right.
should anyway.
Hmm.
We from and slavery was the place, the start of it, where we were trained
Hmm.
to work against each
Hmm.
other,
Hmm.
to fight each other, that
Hmm.
you don't get punished for hurting each other,
Right.
but hurt someone else
Right.
and you get punishment. In the juvenile, the justice system, the correction system, a lot of people, you'll hear in the past people
Hmm.
saying, well, I'll go to jail for you,
Hmm.
I'll hurt you, I'll do some time for you.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna do time.
I'm
I
scared of
want to
jail,
do time for anybody.
and nor do I.
No, no, I do not want to go to
Mm-mm.
jail.
Even in
So
responsible gun ownership, is there a chance that you, again, if you don't know the laws and you do something outside of what the law allows, will you go to jail? Yes, that's why the whole educational part of knowing what the law states is so
mhm.
important. It's vitally important, because again, I have to know that I can't defend property. I have to know, where can I legally even carry a firearm? In the places that are no fire zones, no gun zones, I don't hang out there because I want to carry mine
Mhm.
everywhere I go,
Mhm.
because that's where people typically target mass shootings. They want to go places where they know no one else can have a firearm but
Mhm.
them.
Mhm.
So we have to be very conscious and aware of the whole, that's why I say this whole gun life, it's a consciousness and awareness of, number one, my responsibility with my firearm. What are my duties? Do I have any duties? What are the laws? What are my parameters within the law that I can act upon? What is it that should I act here or should I not act
Mhm.
there? Again,
Mhm.
avoid, escape, defend.
Yeah.
We have to be very conscious and make positive, responsible decisions
And we
in this
have
gun
run
life.
out of time, y'all. This topic, we're going to talk some more in a future program. Can we get you to come back
Yes, ma'am.
next week?
Yes.
And we're going to talk some more about this. I know y'all have lots of questions. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you to all of those who've been on Facebook Live, who've posted comments in the chat, those who are listening on AM or FM. Thank you so much. I hope that the information we've shared today has been beneficial. And we're going to have Madonna Baker back next week, and we're going to talk some more about this whole issue. And then we're also going to talk about some other things that will be helpful to you as a member of this community. And so thank you so very
Thank
much
you.
for tuning in this week. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
being our
ma'am.
guest. We'll see you again right here next Wednesday at 3 p.m. on historic WDDO for another edition of Ask Elaine. And we want to send our deepest sympathy out to the family of Apostle Vertiz Rozier and all those who have suffered loss. So we'll see you again next Wednesday for another edition of Ask Elaine. Thanks.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.